Some of you may not yet be aware of this because it happened over the weekend, but on Saturday, March 23rd, 2024, Biden's Justice Department announced that it had just launched a National Extreme Risk Protection Order Resource Center. Put plainly, this resource center would aid states by the federal government to enact red flag laws on the American people. Red flag laws, in my opinion, that would help aid the federal government to try to enact mass gun confiscation on the American people. Now, a lot of people who are talking about this are obviously talking about how it's a gross violation of the Second Amendment, and it is. But this also would effectively tear apart our Bill of Rights because it is a gross violation of the Fifth and Sixth Amendments as well. Allow me to read to you from the Justice Department's press release. It says, and I quote, "The launch of the National Extreme Risk Protection Order Resource Center will provide our partners across the country with valuable resources to keep firearms out of the hands of individuals who pose a threat to themselves or others," said Attorney General Merrick B. Garland. The establishment of the center is the latest example of the Justice Department's work to use every tool provided by landmark Bipartisan Safer Communities Act to protect communities from gun violence. ERPO laws, which are modeled off domestic violence protection orders, create a civil process allowing law enforcement, family members in most states, and medical professionals or other groups in some states to petition a court to temporarily prohibit someone at risk of harming themselves or others from purchasing and possessing firearms for the duration of the order. This, my friends, is radically unconstitutional and would trample on the rights of every single American citizen. It must not be allowed to stand. Now, I told you that it is a gross violation of the Second Amendment, but it would tear apart the Fifth Amendment and the Sixth Amendment as well. The Fifth Amendment protects every American citizen's right to not have their property taken without due process. It would tear apart our rights to a speedy trial by jury. There is no trial by jury according to this. Someone could just come in and say, "Well, I think John Doe here is a threat to themselves. I think that they're going to hurt themselves. Let's go confiscate their guns. I think Jane Doe is going to shoot her husband. Let's go take her guns. So and so was in a fight last night. I heard violent screams, all based on hearsay, you see. This is disgusting. This is tyranny in the name of security. I see it for what it is. And if this is allowed to stand, I don't see how much longer we could continue to call ourselves a constitutional republic because it tears apart the foundational documents which this country was founded on. Our rights are supposed to be protected by the Constitution, and yet we have a federal government under the direction of Joe Biden who is tearing apart the foundations of our republic and is tearing apart this blessed document. The Justice Department, in my ideal world, wouldn't even exist because the Justice Department has no authority under this document. The Justice Department is an extra constitutional organization. Under the founders, we wouldn't have a Justice Department. We are seeing a government and the consequences of that government that the founders warned us against. We are seeing a government that has grown way past its constitutional bounds, and we are allowing extra constitutional departments that shouldn't even exist in the first place to enact tyranny on the American people. There's no due process under these extreme risk protection orders. Red flag laws are a threat to the liberty of every American, and this should not be allowed to stand. By the way, this didn't go through the legislature, and even if it did, it violates the law of the land, which is the Constitution of the United States. We have fundamental rights to be able to bear arms, to be able to have a trial by jury, and not have our private property confiscated without due process. Property rights, private property rights, are fundamental to a free society. And if we don't have private property rights, we don't have a free society. Private property rights are the very basis of the idea of America. And that is fundamentally what keeps us free. The whole idea of America is centered around private property rights. And this is a gross violation and assault on private property rights. And it's further trying to chip away at the very foundations of America. This must not be allowed to stand because it is extra constitutional, and I don't see how much longer we could call ourselves a free society if we allow shit like this to fly. Our founding fathers may have already been shooting by now. Now, I'm not advocating for that. I'd hate to see violence. But I sincerely wonder, my friends, if we allow this to stand, how much longer will it be before there is violence? We are not pacifists. And this is how the federal government will come in and try to take our guns. I'm not advocating for violence. I would hate to see it. But we must not allow this to stand. Because if they try to take the guns, I'm afraid that they will force the hands of a lot of good people who are begging for peace. We want peace. Society functions best when at peace. But you don't try to threaten the fundamental rights of Americans to protect themselves and try to take the guns. The last time they tried to take the guns in this country, that is what started the American Revolution. That is what started the bloodshed. That is what started the battles of Lexington and Concord that led to the shot heard around the world. I don't want to see this happen. I pray that it doesn't. But I'm afraid that if they try to come for the guns, we will be forced to stand up, and it will lead to bloodshed. I pray that it doesn't happen. But if it does, if they try to trample on our rights when we've exhausted every peaceful option, this will force us, and we will be justified in doing so. And history will see. If you like this video, if you agree with me, please share it. I need the world to see this because this is a threat to our fundamental rights given to us by God. We have a right to defend ourselves. Please like this video. Please subscribe to my channel for more content. And please share it with your friends. As I said, this is probably the most important story I've done all week because this is dangerous. to our fundamental rights as Americans and dangerous to the very foundations of our society. This must not be allowed to stand. God bless you and God save the Republic.